What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. In recent videos, we've been talking all about how to achieve a spot-free car wash finish. We talked about deionized water tanks, cheap filtration, certain soap brands that say you don't have to towel dry, you can just let it air dry. That doesn't actually work. In today's video though, we are going to be talking about a simple method that you can use if you don't have deionized water, if you have total dissolved solids in your water like everyone does out of the tap, whatever else, how you can wash your car and still get spot-free results even if you're washing in direct sunlight. So let's jump into it. And guys, as always, if you enjoy these types of videos, car detailing, product reviews, how-tos, all that kind of good stuff, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. Now, the number one thing actually when you're washing your car to prevent water spots is to take the necessary precautions. If you can, wash in the evening when the sun's not as hot. Wash in the shade out of direct sunlight. That's always gonna help you tremendously. But if you can't, like me, I'm a mobile detailer. Sometimes we have to work in direct sunlight. There's nothing we can do middle of the day. Now again, I do use deionized water, but if you don't have that, here's my suggested method on how you can achieve those perfect results. So step number one in this process, and it's probably the most important step out of everything, is to prepare yourself for success on this, right? You wanna get everything prepped so you're not constantly having to take more time out of the actual wash process to go get something else prepared. You need to have everything prepared and ready to roll. So step number one, guys, prepare. Get your soap ready in a wash bucket. Get your foam cannon ready and your pressure washer ready, all that kind of good stuff. This is the MJJC Foam Cannon Pro. I sell it on my site, unbranded like this one. I'll have that link down below, as well as one to Amazon that you can pick up. Then I will also have microfiber towels in my wash bucket. Now, especially in this situation, another reason why I like using microfiber towels as opposed to a wash mitt is because I'm not having to do the 2-bucket method. And the 2-bucket method takes more time between passes of when I'm actually going back to the panel. So I can clean a panel, then I would have to dip it in a clean bucket, dip it back in my soap, and then go. That's taking more time than I'd like. So with the microfiber towels, I toss 4 or 5 of them in a bucket. I pull it out, get to work quickly, because working fast is very, very important in this situation. Get it all done, and then when that one's too saturated, toss to the side, go to a new one. I'm not wasting time rinsing off my wash mitt to keep going. And the final last piece of the puzzle that you want to have prepped and close by is a dedicated car drying towel. Now this one is a twist loop drying towel. I've done a whole video comparing a bunch of different drying towels. I like the twist loop the most. It seems to absorb the most water, and that's the big key here, guys. In order to get a spot-free finish when you're using just regular tap water, is you gotta keep either the car wet, don't let that water dry onto the panels, or completely dry, meaning again, don't let it dry onto the panel. You're actually removing it with the drying towel. And with this, you're able to do that very, very quickly. So that's why I recommend doing one of these. Now, again, I'm talking about using the foam cannon and all that kind of good stuff. And with that, you need a pressure washer. Now, if you're not using a pressure washer, it's gonna be the same process. You're gonna wanna keep the vehicle completely wet. You don't wanna let those waters, that beading, any kind of water dry onto the panel. Otherwise, you're gonna get water spots. So keep it wet. If you're working one panel and you're not sure if you're gonna have time, then just rinse that panel again back behind you and then keep working and keep going. Keep the vehicle wet and you'll be fine. Okay, now step number 2 is we're actually gonna start the process here. We're gonna start off by washing the wheels. I'm gonna take my dedicated wheel and tire cleaner, I'm gonna spray it on the whole surface, let it sit for a little bit, let it actually penetrate and break up that dirt, and then rinse it all away. This car is not in that bad of shape, and I don't need to go in and agitate these wheels. The cleaner is doing all the work on its own. I'm not having to do any sort of contact with that. So I'm spraying it on there, letting it sit, and then rinsing it off. Okay, once the wheels are all done and you're ready to go on to the actual painted surfaces, really the part that you're most concerned with about getting water spots, the paint in the windows, right? I like to start off with a pre-wash. Now what that means is I'll take my pressure washer and I'll just go over it quickly and remove some of the heavier dirt and stuff that's on there. Now, the Forensic Detailing channel just did a video about pre-rinsing and if you should or shouldn't. And basically what he did was he pre-rinsed one side of the car, didn't pre-rinse the other, he foamed the vehicle, let it dwell, and then he went and rinsed it off. And the side that he did not pre-rinse actually came off better. Basically the reasoning behind that was that the initial pre-rinse diluted the soap product, the going onto the panel more than the other side did because it didn't have a pre-rinse, and it was able to work better without the pre-rinse. However, In that video, he states specifically that he sprayed on his soap and then he let it sit and do its job for about 5 minutes. Now in this situation, we are in direct sunlight. We're fighting against time because we're not using deionized water. We don't have 5 minutes to wait. We don't have that luxury, so we can't do it in that situation. So I always start with that pre-rinse, along with knocking off some of the heavier dirt and debris. That's also gonna, I don't know if it's more in my head than anything else, but the cold water is going to reduce the surface temperature of the panel, and it's going to allow the water to sit on there a little bit longer than if the panel was super hot. The water's going to do it and want to evaporate right off and create a water spot. If we're kind of conditioning the paint and just causing it to drop the temperature a little bit, that's going to help us in the long term. Now as you're rinsing, pay attention to where the sun is. If the sun's directly on your driver's side of the vehicle, you're going to want to spend a little more, pay a little more attention to that side so that it doesn't dry up faster than the part that's not in direct sunlight. So horizontal surfaces and the side that's in the sun, make sure you're paying extra attention there. Now as you're rinsing, I stated this slightly before when we're talking about doing it just with a hose without a pressure washer, but basically what I'll do is I'll rinse the whole vehicle down and say I like to start at the top and let the water gravity go down. That way any dirt and debris starts on top, comes down to the sides, and I'm constantly rinsing it away. If I start from the bottom, I'm pushing it up, and then you're constantly fighting it from falling back down and then recontaminating that area. So start from the top and work your way down. As you're doing that, if you went over one panel and you're working in the next panel or the other side of the car, go back to the other side of the car real quick. Give it an extra little splash of water on that side. Just like I said, it's going to be a common theme here in this video. Go back and give it that little splash just to keep the panel wet so that the water does not dry on the panel. And most importantly here, you want to work fast. Work as quickly as you can. You'll get used to the process so that you're not missing anything, but you just got to keep moving as quickly as you can so, again, it doesn't dry on the panel. All right, now we're on to the foaming stage. I'm going to quickly remove the nozzle from my pressure washer gun, put on my foam cannon, and foam the vehicle down. Now, why is it important to foam? In my personal opinion, the foam has little additives in it that typically help to try and neutralize the total dissolved solids or all that contamination in the water. Now, again, I did that video recently talking about Rain-X's spot free wash that supposedly you can let air dry without water spots. Well, in that video, we proved you cannot do that. But it will still help to kind of try and neutralize as it's still wet, as the foam is still on the vehicle and as the panel is still wet. It'll definitely help prevent it and kind of prolong that process a little bit. Again, cannot let it air dry. Do not let it dry on the panel, but it will help prolong it a little bit. Okay, now that the whole vehicle is foamed up, I'm gonna go on for my contact wash. Again, I'm really quick to move to my contact wash. I have the microfibers already sitting in the bucket. They're ready to roll. So I grab one and I start getting to it. Now I actually start on, again, the vertical surfaces, the sides of the car first, because on the sides of the vehicle, the foam is gonna wanna slide down and come off of it faster. Now the horizontal surfaces, it's sitting on there nice and thick and doing its job and just sitting there. Again, trying to neutralize the water and prevent it from spotting up and keeping it wet and keeping it foamy. On the sides, however, though, it's sliding off, so it's gonna dry off faster. So I will start my contact wash on the sides and then move on to the horizontal surfaces. Now again, I will keep my pressure washer near me. Same thing, guys, if I wipe down one panel, say I wipe down the fender, move to the door, move to the rear fender, and I'm looking at that front fender going, man, I'm nervous that's gonna dry, I'll take my pressure washer, rinse it down again real quick, again, keeping it wet. Once I've done my full contact wash over everything, I will go and now do my rinse. Again, I'll kind of do a blanket rinse all over the car really quickly, and then I'll go in and fine tune, go in closer panel by panel and remove all the soap, get it blown out of all the little tight spots so I'm not leaving any residual soap on the panel. But basically I'll do a quick rinse, then I'll start again on the rinse from top to bottom, start with the roof, get that all good, move down and keep on going that way. Super important here, guys, is if I already worked an area and I'm on to the next area on the other side of the car, I'm gonna continually just kind of sporadically add some more water to that side so that it doesn't dry out. Okay, now the car is all clean. It's all been contact washed. Everything's good. It's been rinsed off. Now we gotta dry quick. So that's why I love having this oversized drying towel that's a twist loop construction. It absorbs water like crazy. You'll see here. Now, as I go, the towel is going to continually gather more water, meaning as I'm going over those spots, it may streak a little bit or leave kind of a little layer of water. Now, that's okay. As long as it's not a full drop, you're gonna be okay. So move around as quickly as you can with that. Don't worry about all the fine tuning and getting every little spot yet. Get the bulk off. And then we'll move on to our next step, which is using a drying aid. Now, again, with this towel, when you're drying, you can use a drying aid at that point. It'll actually lubricate the surface, allows the towel to slide across a little bit faster. The reason I don't like doing that all the time is the drying aid that I use, now it's ceramic detail spray from Technician's Choice. The reason I don't like using it with my drying towel is because that product is so hydrophobic. When you spray it on the panel, and then drag that towel on it, the towel is picking up the ceramic detail spray. It's making it super hydrophobic. Well, now the drying towel is not gonna work as well because it's hydrophobic. It's gonna be rejecting that water. So it's not a big deal. If you're doing one car, it's totally fine. But if you're going and next time you go to wash your towel, you need to actually use a decent enough detergent to remove the ceramic detail spray from it so that the drying towel works properly again. Okay, so the final step, guys, now is when I prefer to use this ceramic detail spray from Technician's Choice as my drying aid, and I will go over and I'll spray it onto my microfiber towel. I'll let the overspray kind of go over it and get onto the panel. Now the panel typically will have a little bit of moisture if it's a spot that, you know, where the main drying towel had too much water in it. I'll start there and I'll just start going over everything. It removes it all super nicely. It's adding some protection. It makes it super hydrophobic and it's amazing. I love that stuff so much. Now, as a final step, I'll actually get out a blower now. Now, again, the whole vehicle is dry, everything's all good to go, but we all know that little spots in the rear side view mirrors, emblems, all that kind of stuff, there's still water in there. So I'll grab a blower and I'll go through and blow all that stuff out, and as it's getting blown out, I'll go through and wipe it up with my microfiber towel with ceramic detail spray. Now the towels I'm using here are an edgeless microfiber towel, meaning that there's no seam on the ends. I like that best because those seams can potentially introduce some marring or some light scratches. Typically not, but just as a safety precaution, I like to use a completely edgeless towel. These towels also come with no labels in them, so you don't have to worry about ripping it out and then having a hard edge. So those are available on my site. I'll link it down in the description below. I will also have a very, very similar towel from the rag company that'll be listed down in the description that you can buy around on Amazon. So whatever's easier for you guys. And while I am using that blower to blow everything out, I will go through and blow out the tires and the wheels and the tires. And I'll actually use that air to dry the actual tire portion so I can go in and dress it and make it all good. So that's it, guys. That's the process. That's the process I use. I know there's other methods that you can use. You can use like Optimum's ONR and you know, a bunch of different types of products that you can use. But really the main thing you need to consider is don't let the water dry on the panel. You keep it wet and then you get a nice big drying towel like that, get it dry and you'll be fine. So that's it, guys. I hope that helps. Please make sure to like the video. Make sure you subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.